We continue Plutarch's Lives, translated by John Dryden, revised by Arthur Hugh Clough, with the comparison of Philopoemen with Flamininus. First, then, as for the greatness of the benefits which Titus conferred on Greece, neither Philopoemen nor many braver men than he can make good the parallel. They were Greeks fighting against Greeks, but Titus, a stranger to Greece, fought for her, and at the very time when Philopoemen went over to Crete, destitute of means to secure his besieged countrymen, Titus, by a defeat given to Philip in the heart of Greece, set them and their cities free again. If we examine the battles they fought, Philopoemen, whilst he was the Achaeans' general, slew more Greeks than Titus in aiding the Greeks, slew Macedonians as to their failings. Ambition was Titus's weak side, and obstinacy Philopoemen's. In the former, anger was easily kindled. In the latter, it was as hardly quenched. Titus reserved to Philip the royal dignity. He pardoned the Attalians and stood their friend, but Philopoemen, exasperated against his country, deprived it of its supremacy over the adjacent villages. Titus was ever constant to those he had once befriended, the other upon any offense as prone to cancel kindness. He, who had once been a benefactor to the Lacedaemonians, afterwards laid their walls level with the ground, wasted their country, and at the end changed and destroyed the whole frame of their government. He seems in truth to have prodigaled his way away his own life through passion and perverseness, for he fell upon the Messenians not with that conduct and caution that characterized the movements of Titus, but with unnecessary and unreasonable haste. For secular and spiritual, or character, or however you phrase it, reasons, you never quite know what shifts people are going to make from one stage of life to another, right? The many battles he fought and the many trophies he won may make us ascribe to Philopoemen the more thorough knowledge of war. Titus decided the matter betwixt Philip and himself in 2 engagements, but Philopoemen came off victorious in 10,000 encounters, to all which fortune had scarcely any pretence. So much were they owing to his skill. Besides, Titus got his renown assisted by the power of a flourishing Rome. The other flourished under a declined Greece, so that his success may be accounted his own. In Titus's glory, Rome claims a share. The one had brave men under him, the other made his brave by being over them, and though Philopoemen was unfortunate certainly in always being opposed to his countrymen, yet this misfortune is at the same time a proof of his merit. Where the circumstances are the same, superior success can only be ascribed to superior merit, and he had indeed to do with the 2 most warlike nations of all Greece, the Cretans on the one hand and the Lacedaemonians on the other, and he mastered the craftiness of them by art and the bravest of them by valor. It may also be said that Titus, having his men armed and disciplined to his hand, had in a manner his victories made for him, whereas Philopoemen was forced to introduce a discipline and tactics of his own, and to new model his soldiers, so that what is of the greatest import towards ensuring a victory was in his case his own creation, while the other had it ready provided for his benefit. Philopoemen effected many gallant things with his own hand, but Titus none, so much that one Archidamus, an Attalian, made it a jest against him, that while he, the Attalian, was running with his drawn sword, where he saw the Macedonians drawn up closest and fighting hardest, Titus was standing still, and with his hands stretched out to heaven, praying to what he considered to be gods and goddesses for aid. It is true, Titus acquitted himself admirably, both as a governor and as an ambassador, but Philopoemen was no less serviceable and useful to the Achaeans in this capacity of a private man than that of a commander. He was a private citizen when he restored the Messenians to their liberty and delivered their city from Nabius. He was also a private citizen when he rescued the Lacedaemonians and shut the gates of Sparta against the general Diophantus and Titus. He had a nature so truly formed for command that he could govern even the laws themselves for the public good. He did not need to wait for the formality of being elected into command by the governed, but employed their service if occasion required, at his own discretion, judging that he who understood their real interest was more truly their supreme magistrate than he whom they had elected to the office. The equity, clemency, and humanity of Titus towards the Greeks display a great and generous nature, but the actions of Philopoemen full of courage, and forward to assert his country's liberty against the Romans, and have something yet greater and nobler in them. For it is not as hard a task to gratify the indignant and distressed as to bear up against and to dare to incur the anger of the powerful. To conclude, since it does not appear to be easy by any review or discussion to establish the true difference of their merits and to decide to which a preference is due, will it be an unfair award in this case if we let the Greek bear away the crown for military conduct and warlike skill, and the Roman for justice and clemency? And heaven, of course, is particularly the Mongolians and the Chinese, is a metanomial for divinity, and his praying to the gods for aid, it could have been sympathetic, as in, it's the qualities and stuff are directly related to the situation, or could have been universal. Certainly, the path working of ritual and prayer and all that, one kind of wants to get into areas that one doesn't think that one needs, or maybe even it's not about one's wants. If you go beyond that, you find out that, wait a second, those things that I wanted, those things that I needed, I've been at least psychologically working on myself through these processes. And perhaps physically, the laws of attraction and repulsion, right? And I say what were considered to be gods and goddesses because, of course, not everything that people treat as such is such. I know some languages that's kind of the phrase, and in our English translations, like the Devis and Asuras, well, to those who didn't worship them, they weren't gods. So, there's that sort of stuff to think about. Is that